In my Facebook group, Inner Child Healing Breaking Free from CPTSD, I asked a few people to ask me their questions, things that they want answered. And in today's video, we're going to do a Q&A of those questions. I'm going to answer a couple of those questions, and more videos will be published in the coming days. So the first question, is pain a mental thing? So pain is a signal that something's wrong. If you were driving in your car, you've got those gauges and warning lights and things on the dashboard, and they let you know when something's wrong with the car. Pain is the same. Pain lets you know that something's wrong within your body, lets you know that something needs attention. So those signals that your body is sending to your brain, they're serving a purpose. They're there for a reason. They're letting you know that you need to get things looked at. If you get things looked at, you can use hypnosis and hypnotic techniques to reduce and even eliminate physical pain. But first of all, you need to be sure that you're taking care of those things that you're getting the signal about. And your mind can't tell the difference between physical and emotional pain. So very often someone could be in emotional pain and they could be experiencing physical symptoms in the body. Some people say that IBS, fibromyalgia, these are related to actual emotional pain. And by working on that emotional pain, we can relieve the pain that you're experiencing within your body. So pain is a signal. Mentally, it can be eradicated if the client is ready to do that. So that's the first question. I hope that I've answered that adequately. Second question is quite a long question. There's many parts to it. So I've got my tablet here. I'm going to be looking down at my tablet as I answer these questions. So the first part of the question, we all know that healing is like peeling layers off of an onion. And it's hard because every time we peel back a layer, it's like an awakening. And the person said that with that, I feel we are more awake to other traumas in the world, and that in itself can be traumatizing all over again. She says, do we ever reach that inner layer and find peace? Or is it just a constant cycle of getting deeper and having to accept, forgive, relive, cope, whilst battling to avoid old patterns? Every time I think I'm over it, out of the blue, I'll get triggered. It's exhausting. So my answer to this question is also going to have several parts. The first part of the answer, I say it's important to have goals. And it's important to have goals for this very reason, because if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. So having goals enables you to gauge your progress. You want to be asking yourself why you want to heal the trauma. What will healing the trauma allow you to do? Will healing the trauma allow you to feel more confident? Will it allow you to feel calmer? Will it allow you to have better relationships? What do you want to get from healing the trauma? If you just decide that you want to heal your trauma, then of course it's going to be like peeling an onion, because that could go on forever, and there could be many layers of trauma. So set a goal, know what you want to achieve as you're working on that, and it's working towards that goal. She goes on to say, has anyone ever healed from past trauma? And again, my answer is, if you don't know what being healed looks like, how can you know if you have? So you need to get a clear idea of what it's going to look like to be healed, and that needs to be realistic. You know, you can't say that when I'm healed I'm going to be like the Buddha. You need to be realistic about what healing is going to look like for you. And all traumas are connected to emotions. So as Jordan Peterson says, healing isn't about undoing things that have happened in the past. It isn't about forgetting things that happened in the past. It's about becoming strong enough to deal with those things. And when a person experiences a traumatic event, that trauma is stored in the amygdala, the emotional part of the brain. And the amygdala can react to situations and things long before the thinking part of the brain has a chance to know what's going on. So there are techniques that we can use hypnotically to help a person to release that trauma, to release the negative emotions related to that trauma. And then by doing that, that trauma is going to be processed as a normal memory. And you're going to stop having those emotional reactions to those old triggers and those old traumas. Also having a regular relaxation practice. Again, when a person experiences trauma, the emotional part of the brain actually grows in size, which makes a person more liable to emotional dysregulation. Having a regular relaxation practice can allow you to start to shrink the size of the emotional part of the brain, to become more mindful and less prone to emotional dysregulation. And then going down, I say, with a goal in mind, you can judge how you're reacting differently to things that would have triggered you in the past. Can all triggers be completely eliminated? No, probably not. Probably you're never gonna eliminate all triggers from your life, but you can start to learn to deal with those triggers better. It's like if you break a bone, your body is going to actually not just going to heal that bone. It's not just going to replace the bone that you've broken. It's going to actually make that bone stronger, so that you can deal with, traumatic events better in the future. But if the weather changes, if it starts raining or there's a change in air pressure, you can still get niggles, you can still get things that remind you of that old injury. So those niggles that you get, that little twinge, that can remind you of how far you've come, of how you've healed that stuff. What maybe would have been really painful, if it was a broken leg, really difficult to walk on, you can now walk on that leg without without experiencing that pain. But that twinges can still come back from time to time, and when that twinge comes back, you can remember how far you've come. You can look at how much progress you've made, and the more you look at the progress you've made, the more you can make progress. The more you start to notice the things that you've overcome, the stronger you can start to feel, the more you can start to see that you can overcome other traumas and other things that may have happened to you in the past. The less worried you'll be about the future, because you've already overcome so much. So you won't have anxieties about the future, because you'll be able to look back and say, wow, I dealt with all this. I can deal with anything else that happens. So that's that part of the question answered, I believe. Next part of the question. Another thing that healing can allow you to do, it can allow you to become more aware of your triggers. And that awareness is the first part of the battle. You can start to release toxic shame. You may remember, where you've picked up those triggers and insecurities. If you're growing up in a dysfunctional family, dysfunctional families often think it's funny to take the mickey out of each other, to pick on one another's insecurities, to call one another names. And that can create a negative inner voice, that can create negative self-talk that's going to attack you and put you down the same way you were attacked and put down as a child. Also, as a child, you're looking to your parents and caregivers to help you understand the world and understand yourself. And if they're calling you names and calling you a piece of shit, you're going to take that as the truth, and you're going to believe that, and it's going to create that negative inner voice. So as you become more mindful, as you become more aware of your triggers, you can start to release that stuff. You can start to realize that it's not you, it's thoughts and things that other people have actually put in your head. And the final part of the question, in regards to the trauma in the world and reacting to things that are going on within the world, you need to identify what your values are. And if you know what your values are, if you know what your goals are, and you stick to those values and you're working towards those goals, you can see things that are going on around you, and you can ask yourself the question, is this within my value system? Does this go against my value system? Is this going to serve me in achieving my goals? And if it isn't, you don't need to attach to it. You can just let it go and focus on what you're doing, focus on your own progress, your own healing, and your own improvement. So that is today's questions. If you'd like to ask me any questions, you can leave a comment below, or you can join my Facebook group, a link to which I'm going to post below. You can also find links below to book a free call with me, and you can find links to my workshops. So have a look at the comment section below, and I look forward to hearing from you.